So this Saturday at UFC 302, Dustin Poirier will be granted another shot at the title coming up against Islam Makhachev, which I will be live for this Saturday, selfish plug. If you'd like to, feel free to tune in. But what we're actually going to be talking about this time is something that Islam Makhachev's coach was quoted saying. And in my personal opinion, I think this type of mindset and saying things like this is what's going to get Islam knocked out. Islam's coach Magomedzi Bangadov, I'm sorry, I struggled really bad with these Russian and Dagestani names, but he was quoted saying, even if you put wrestling aside, in my opinion, Islam can outbox him in pure boxing and in Muay Thai. There are no aspects in which Islam lags behind. And this type of thinking is what's going to get Islam Makhachev into a lot of trouble. I get it, right? Islam Makhachev's stand-up is definitely good. I would even say, take it further, I would even say Islam's stand-up is much better than Khabib's was. But being a good striker is completely different from being an elite, high-level, world-class striker. Yeah, maybe Dustin Poirier doesn't have all the fancy kicks and all that stuff, but he's got those hands, he's got that boxing down packed, and he could take a shot to give some, and 9 times out of 10, if you're in a fight like that against Dustin Poirier, you're going to be the one going to sleep. Not to mention, yeah, people make fun of Dustin Poirier's gas tank, but when it comes to that stand up and throwing those fists, Dustin can fight all night long. I get it, right? They're probably on their high horse because they saw what Alexander Volkanovski did to Max Holloway, who's considered one of the best strikers in the UFC right now, if not the best. And Islam went out there and knocked out Alexander Volkanovski, so they're probably looking at it like, look, Alex did that to Max Holloway, and look at what Islam did to Alex. But you can't look at it that way. Like I said, don't get me wrong, Islam Makhachev's striking is good, but it's just not on that level. For him to be saying that he can outbox or out Muay Thai fight Dustin Poirier is simply just delusional. And I think it would be an absolute terrible idea for Islam Makhachev to try to stand up. Look, we saw what happened the last time in this situation, cough cough, Ronda Rousey, when her coach Edmond was boosting up her boxing, saying that she could even box Floyd Mayweather, and we all saw what happened to her in her fight against Holly Holm, and then again after that against Amanda Nunes. So they might not want to gas up Islam Makhachev's striking because his wrestling is well above his striking, and his striking is nowhere near on par to the best strikers in the UFC. Like I said, he's good, but the UFC is the top level of competition in the entire world, so being good isn't good enough. Also, not to mention, Islam Makhachev has been knocked out before, and his one loss that he has on his career, it was a knockout loss. And we've seen him get hurt and wobbled against Alexander Volkanovski as well. The problem with thinking like this is like you're feeding into your fighter's brain that he's invincible, he can beat anybody in any situation, in any circumstance, instead of focusing on what you're good at and what you're strong at. You know, I know people are going to say, well, Islam is always going to revert back to the wrestling. But even just putting it in his mind that he can stand up for even a little bit longer against such a dangerous opponent like Dustin Poirier, who could put your lights out in an instant with one shot, I just don't really agree with that kind of thinking. I think it's really foolish. And if Islam Makhachev goes out there and knocks out Dustin Poirier in spectacular fashion, because that will be a shocker, if he goes out there and stands up with Dustin Poirier and knocks him out on the feet, I can almost guarantee you whichever stand-up striker he is fighting next, I'd probably put my money on them, because Islam Makhachev is going to do what very, very many fighters do, and that's fall in love with that power and want to get more knockouts. Like I said, Islam is good on the feet. I'm not shitting his stand-up. He's actually really good. I like how he mixes in the kicks. He changes levels really well. But like I said, good in the UFC is not good enough. But feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, I thank you all so much for the support, and I'll catch you in the next video.